Hey everyone, welcome back to Learn English with Podcasts.
Hi, everyone. So glad you're here with us today.
I'm Adam,
And I'm Sarah.
episode 14.
14 already.
I know it goes fast.
It really does.
Before we get into today's topic, Sarah, do you want to say something to our international listeners?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So if you're watching on YouTube and English isn't your first language, you can switch on the subtitles. Just click the little CC button at the bottom of the screen. It gives you a real-time translation while we talk. Super useful if some words go a bit fast.
Great tip. Use every tool available, right?
Exactly. No shame in that.
All right, so today's verb is keep,
Keep. Such a simple word.
and yet it does so much.
So much.
We've got 6 phrasal verbs today built around keep,
6 good ones.
and all of them you will hear in a real workplace, in meetings, in emails, and performance reviews.
Oh, performance reviews. Fun times.
Yeah. Speaking of which, that's actually what made me think about this episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, I have a friend. Let's call him Marcus.
Okay, Marcus.
Marcus works in project management, has for about 8 years. Very competent guy, very organized.
Sounds good so far.
Right. So last quarter, his company did a big internal review, like a full 360 performance review for everyone on the team.
Oh, those are intense.
They are. And Marcus, he was actually not worried about it at all.
Really?
No, because he had kept up with every single deadline for the past 6 months.
Oh, kept up. Nice.
Every delivery, on time. Every report, submitted. Every client update, done.
That's impressive.
It is. But here's the thing. His manager, let's call her Diana, Diana had this habit of, how do I put this?
Being difficult?
I was going to say, keeping in a lot of feedback until the very last moment.
Ah, she kept it in.
She kept it all in, all year. And then, boom, review time. Everything comes out at once.
Oh, that's rough.
It is rough. And so Marcus is sitting there in this meeting, and Diana starts going through her notes, and he's hearing things for the first time.
Things that happened in, what, February?
March, April. One comment was from a meeting in January.
January.
January. He had completely forgotten about it.
To be fair, who remembers January by December?
Nobody. Nobody does. And Marcus, to his credit, he kept his cool completely.
That's the professional move.
Absolutely. He just listened, took notes, asked a few clarifying questions.
Smart.
But inside, he told me later, he was frustrated.
Of course he was.
Because here's the thing. If Diana had given him this feedback in real time, he could have adjusted. He could have improved. He could have kept up with her expectations properly.
Instead of finding out at the end of the year that she had 12 things saved up.
12 things. He counted.
Wow.
And the funniest part, one of those 12 things was that Marcus sometimes kept out certain team members from project updates.
Oh no.
He didn't mean to. It was never intentional. He was just moving fast, sending updates to whoever was directly involved.
But some people felt left out.
Exactly. And nobody told him for months.
So Diana kept in the information, Marcus kept out some team members by accident, and everyone kept going like nothing was wrong.
For an entire year.
That's a masterclass in miscommunication.
It really is. And the irony? Diana's main piece of advice at the end of the review?
I'm afraid to ask.
She told Marcus he needed to keep up his communication efforts.
She said that.
With a straight face.
The woman who kept 12 pieces of feedback to herself for 12 months told him to communicate better.
I could not make this up.
Okay, I'm sorry, but that's kind of hilarious.
It is, in a very painful way. Poor Marcus.
Poor Marcus.
But honestly, it's such a realistic situation. I think a lot of people listening right now have had a Diana in their life.
Oh, absolutely. That manager who keeps everything in and then unloads at review time.
Or the colleague who keeps away from any difficult conversation until it's unavoidable.
Yes, the conflict avoider, classic.
We all know one.
Some of us have been one.
True, no judgment here.
No judgment. But understanding these verbs, recognizing them in context, that's actually useful.
That's the whole point. And Marcus, by the way, he ended up handling the review really well.
Did he?
Yeah, he came back 2 weeks later with a written response, a proper document, addressed each of the 12 points professionally.
That's impressive.
It is. He didn't keep off the subject. He didn't avoid it. He faced it head on.
Good for him.
And Diana was apparently surprised.
She probably expected him to just accept everything and move on.
Probably, but Marcus kept on. He kept on pushing for clarity, for concrete goals, for regular check-ins going forward.
That's the right approach.
Absolutely. And by the end of that conversation, they actually had a much better working relationship.
So the review that started as a disaster turned into something productive.
Kind of, because Marcus refused to just let things go. He kept on, he kept up, he pushed through.
And that's exactly what we want to talk about today. These 6 phrasal verbs with keep, they're not just grammar.
They're workplace survival skills.
Honestly, yes. If you can use these naturally in a meeting, in an email, in a conversation with your manager.
You sound confident, you sound fluent, you sound like someone who knows what they're doing.
Which, hopefully, after this episode, you will.
That's the goal. So, we're going to go through each one carefully. Definition, examples, the logic behind each particle.
The particles are really key with keep.
They are, because keep on its own is simple, but once you add on, up, in, out, away, off.
Completely different meanings, different situations, different registers.
And we're going to make sure each one is crystal clear.
With examples you can actually use, not weird textbook sentences.
Real sentences, things Marcus would say, things Diana should have said, but didn't.
Yes, let's learn from their experience.
Let's do it. 6 phrasal verbs with keep. Let's go through them one by one.
Starting with the one we mentioned most during the Marcus story.
To keep on.
To keep on. And there's so much to say about this one.
There really is. It's one of those verbs that sounds simple, but carries a lot of weight.
Because it's not just about continuing.
No, it's about persisting, even when it's hard, even when it would be easier to stop.
And Marcus kept on, even after a very uncomfortable review.
That's the spirit of keep on.
And you hear it everywhere in a professional context.
You do. Okay, so let's break each one down properly. Full definitions, examples, particle logic, the whole thing.
Let's go.
To keep on.
This one is probably the most common of the 6, and yet people underestimate it.
They do, because it sounds basic. Keep on, continue. Simple, right?
On the surface, yes, but the nuance is in the persistence, the stubbornness almost.
Right. It's not just, I'm continuing this task. It's more like, I'm continuing this task despite difficulty, despite resistance, despite the fact that part of me wants to stop.
There's a determination built into keep on that you don't get with just continue.
Exactly. So if your manager says, just keep on with what you're doing, that's neutral. That's fine.
But if a colleague says she kept on even after the project was almost canceled, that's a compliment.
That's admiration. That person didn't give up.
And Marcus kept on, even after the review, even after 12 pieces of feedback landed on him all at once.
He kept on pushing for concrete answers, for better communication going forward.
That takes real professional resilience.
It does. All right, so examples. Let's give some solid examples for to keep on.
First one, professional context. The team kept on working despite the budget cuts.
Good. Clear. There were obstacles. The budget was reduced, but they didn't stop.
They kept on.
They kept on. Second example, she kept on sending follow-up emails until she got a response.
Ooh, very realistic, very relatable.
Anyone who has ever waited 3 weeks for a client to reply to a quote knows exactly what this feels like.
You keep on. You follow up again. You follow up a 3rd time with a very polite subject line that says, just checking in, but inside you are screaming.
Yes, that's the professional experience right there.
And the particle here, on. What does on give us?
On gives the idea of staying active on something, like you're sitting on top of it, pressed against it,
not letting it go.
You remain on the action. You don't step away.
There's a continuity, a forward momentum, even when everything around you is saying, maybe just stop.
Keep on says, no, we're not stopping.
Exactly. So to summarize, to keep on, it means to continue doing something, especially with persistence and determination, often despite obstacles or difficulty.
Great. Number 2, to keep up.
To keep up. This one is fascinating because it works in 2 directions.
Oh, yes, you can keep up with something external, or you can keep up something internal.
Right. So on one side, to keep up with something means to maintain the same pace as something or someone else, to stay at the same level.
Like, it's hard to keep up with all the changes in the industry.
Yes, the industry is moving. Things are changing fast. Can you stay at the same level? Can you follow?
And on the other side, to keep up something means to maintain something you're already doing, to not let it drop.
Like, she kept up her weekly reports throughout the entire project.
She didn't stop. She maintained the habit.
She kept it up.
And in Marcus's situation, he had kept up with every deadline, every deliverable for 6 months.
Which is actually impressive. And Diana's feedback about keeping up communication efforts, technically correct advice.
Just deeply ironic coming from her?
Deeply, deeply ironic.
Okay, so more examples. The new intern is struggling to keep up with the team's pace.
Very real, very common. The team is moving fast. The intern is new. There's a gap.
And nobody wants to say it directly, so they say, she's having trouble keeping up.
It's a softer way to describe a performance issue.
Which is also why phrasal verbs are so useful in professional contexts. They carry meaning, but with a slightly softer edge sometimes.
Exactly. Another example. We need to keep up our customer response times if we want to maintain the rating.
Good. There's a standard that exists, a level, and the goal is to maintain it, not let it drop.
Keep it up. Don't let it slip. The particle up here, what's the logic?
Up expresses the idea of maintaining a level, like something is elevated and your job is to make sure it stays elevated.
You're holding it up, sustaining it. It's like holding a heavy box above your head. You keep it up. You don't let your arms drop.
I love that image.
The moment you stop actively maintaining, it falls. So you keep up.
To keep up, maintain a pace, a standard, or a habit, or stay current with something that is evolving.
Perfect. Number 3, to keep in.
Ah, Diana's specialty.
Diana's signature move.
To keep in means to hold something inside, not to express it, to retain it rather than letting it out.
And this works for emotions, for information, for feedback, for thoughts.
Diana kept in 12 months of feedback and then released it all at once in a single meeting.
Which is, honestly, a communication strategy I would not recommend.
Not ideal, no.
But it happens. It happens all the time in workplaces.
People keep in frustration until it becomes resentment.
People keep in concerns about a project until the project is already failing.
People keep in a compliment they meant to give and then forget entirely.
That last one is underrated. How often do we keep in positive feedback?
Too often. We think it, we don't say it, we keep it in.
And that matters too. It's not just negative things we hold back.
Good point. All right, examples. He kept in his frustration during the meeting and addressed it privately afterward.
Smart move, actually. He didn't explode in the meeting. He processed it, kept it in for the moment, and then handled it in the right setting.
That's emotional intelligence.
That's professional.
Another example. The director kept in her concerns about the timeline until it was too late to adjust.
And that's the danger of keeping things in too long. At some point, the information expires. The moment passes.
And then the project is delayed and everyone is confused about why nobody said anything sooner.
Classic.
The particle in, pretty intuitive here.
Very. In means inside. You're holding something inside yourself, not letting it cross the boundary, not letting it out.
There's an enclosure, a containment.
Like a pressure cooker, you keep the steam in, which is fine, for a while.
But eventually, something has to give.
Exactly. So, to keep in, to to hold something inside, to not express or release a feeling, an opinion, or a piece of information.
Number 4, to keep out.
To keep out. This one is about exclusion, preventing entry, keeping something or someone on the outside.
And Marcus did this accidentally. He kept certain team members out of project update emails.
Not maliciously, just he was moving fast. He was focused on the core stakeholders, and some people slipped through the cracks.
But the effect was the same. They felt excluded. They felt kept out.
And that perception matters.
It really does. So in a professional context, to keep out can mean to deliberately or accidentally exclude someone from a process, a conversation, or decision.
Or it can mean to prevent something unwanted from entering a space.
Right. Like, we've added a new security protocol to keep unauthorized users out of the system.
That's the protective use. You're keeping something out that shouldn't be there.
And then the people use. The manager kept the junior staff out of the strategy meeting.
Which raises a lot of questions. Was that intentional? Is there a reason? Is that the right call?
And sometimes it is the right call. Not every meeting needs everyone.
True. But when people feel consistently kept out, that's a problem.
That's a culture problem.
A trust problem.
Another example, he was kept out of the loop on the client negotiations for weeks.
Ooh, out of the loop. That's a very common expression, and keep out is right at the heart of it.
Kept out of the information, out of the conversation, out of the circle.
The particle out, very clear here.
Out means outside, on the other side of the boundary.
Something is inside, and you are preventing access to it. You are keeping whatever it is out.
Physical or abstract, a room, a system, a conversation, a decision-making process.
To keep out, to prevent entry or access, deliberately or not, for a person, a thing, or a piece of information.
Number 5, to keep away.
To keep away. This one is about distance, maintaining space between yourself and something or someone.
And it can be very practical or very emotional.
Right. On the practical side, keep away from the server room unless you have clearance.
Simple, stay at a distance, don't approach.
On the more emotional or behavioral side, she kept away from office politics as much as possible.
Ah, yes, the person who sees the drama forming and quietly backs away.
The wise professional move.
Very wise. Sometimes the smartest thing you can do in an office is keep away from certain conversations.
Certain people even.
Certain people, certain topics, certain email chains that have 17 people on CC.
Yes, do not engage with that chain. Keep away, stay safe.
Another example, the new policy is designed to keep competitors away from our client data.
Good. Protective use again. You're creating distance, maintaining a barrier between something valuable and something that shouldn't have access to it.
The particle away.
Away gives the sense of distance, of being far, not close.
You're not just keeping something out in the moment, you're maintaining ongoing distance.
It's more sustained than keep out. Keep out is about a specific boundary. Keep away is about maintaining that distance over time.
She keeps away from office politics. Not just today, it's a habit, a consistent choice.
To keep away, to maintain distance from someone or something, whether physically, emotionally, or strategically, often as a deliberate, ongoing choice.
And the last one, number 6, to keep off.
To keep off. This one is about avoidance, staying away from a subject, a substance, a surface, or a topic.
And it's slightly different from keep away.
Right. Keep away is about maintaining physical or strategic distance. Keep off is more about refraining, not touching, not engaging with something specific.
Like, the doctor told him to keep off caffeine for at least 2 weeks.
Medical context. He's not supposed to consume it. He needs to refrain, keep off.
Or in a meeting context, the facilitator asked everyone to keep off personal attacks and focus on the data.
Oh, that's a good one. Very realistic. You're in a heated discussion and someone has to draw the line.
Please keep off personal attacks. Let's stay professional.
You hear this in negotiations, too. Let's keep off the topic of pricing for now and focus on the scope first.
Smart negotiation tactic. You're not saying the topic doesn't matter. You're saying, not yet. Keep off it for now.
Control the conversation. Manage what gets discussed and when.
And in everyday life, she's been trying to keep off social media during work hours.
Very relatable. Very modern problem.
The temptation is there, the phone is right there, but you keep off, you refrain.
The particle off here.
Off indicates withdrawal, removal, not putting yourself on something.
Like a surface you deliberately avoid stepping on. You keep off the grass. You keep off the topic. You keep off the substance.
There's a deliberate refusal to engage, to touch, to enter that space.
To keep off. To deliberately avoid something, whether a topic, a substance, a surface, or situation, usually as an active and conscious decision.
All right, 6 phrasal verbs. Let's bring it all together.
The full recap, fast, clean.
To keep on, to continue with persistence and determination, especially when things are difficult.
To keep up, to maintain a pace, a standard, or a habit, or to stay current with something that is evolving.
To keep in, to hold something inside without expressing it, whether an emotion, an opinion, or a piece of information.
To keep out, to prevent access or entry for a person or information deliberately or not.
To keep away, to maintain ongoing distance from someone or something as a deliberate and sustained choice.
To keep off, to deliberately avoid something, whether a topic, a substance, a surface, or situation.
All right, 6 phrasal verbs. 1 root, completely different meanings depending on the particle.
And all 6 you will encounter in a real professional environment. Guaranteed.
If you want to test yourself on all of this, we have a full quiz waiting for you in the article linked below this episode.
5 questions, all based on real workplace situations. No trick questions, just solid practice.
Read the examples again, try the quiz, see how much you retained.
And if you got them all right on the first try, honestly, that's impressive. Leave a comment. We want to know.
We do, and if you got a couple wrong, that's completely normal. That's what the article is for. Go back, reread, try again.
Learning a language is exactly that. You keep on, even when it's not perfect yet.
Especially when it's not perfect yet.
That's when it matters most.
Big thank you to everyone who has been with us since episode 1.
14 episodes in. That's not nothing.
And we have 16 more to go in this series. 16 more families of phrasal verbs.
All linked in a dedicated playlist. Easy to find, easy to follow.
Whether you're starting from the beginning or jumping in at episode 14, every episode stands on its own, but together they built something real.
A solid foundation in the most common phrasal verbs in English.
Which will serve you in exams, in meetings, in emails, in every professional conversation you have in English.
That's why we do this.
All right, that's a wrap for episode 14.
Thank you so much for listening.
Take care of yourselves. Keep going.
And we'll see you very soon for episode 15.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.